everybody, today you've joined me with a super special guest. I'm here with our Victorian school mistress. Hello Ma'am, how are you?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you.
So, I've got a few questions for you. I hope that's okay.
It is.
So, can you tell me who went to school during Victorian times?
Depends which part of Victorian times you're looking at. If we're looking at early Victorian times, then the only people that went to school were the wealthy. And then it was generally they had a governess, so they were taught at home up until the age of 10, when a boy would then go off to public school, where a girl would continue to be taught at home. As time progressed, the Victorians realised it was important that their children should be educated. It would help them with their future careers, their future jobs. In 1870, the Education Acts came in, and this required all children to have education provided to them. So more and more schools appeared. By 1880, all children between the ages of 5 and 10 had to go to school. It was compulsory.
And what were schools like during Victorian times?
Schools were not the friendliest of places. They weren't fun. They were generally quite cold, quite dark. They were monotonous. It meant you did the same thing over and over and over again. And they concentrated on reading, writing and arithmetic.
How many students were in each class?
Each class had between 50 and 70 children in the class. And that was children of all ages, so you could be 5 to 10-year-olds all in the same classroom.
And I've heard something about a pupil teacher. What's that?
A pupil teacher is one of the older children who were fairly bright. They would become teaching assistants and they would help the teacher. So because you had 5 to 10-year-olds all in the same class, some children would need more help than others.
So we've talked about the 3 R's, reading, writing and arithmetic, but what other things might I be learning in school?
You might have learnt some geography, some history. You'd have certainly learned religious education. You'd have learnt singing, so some kind of music. Boys would have had technical drawing, maybe gardening. Girls would have done sewing. And there was something called drill. And drill was a Victorian version of PE. It wasn't as exciting as PE. It was sometimes done behind the desk, sometimes done outside, and there was lots of marching around, lots of moving and waving the arms around, or if you were lucky, you might have had these. So these are clubs, and these would have been held in the hands when you moved your arms up and down to give a little bit of weight to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more strenuous.
So, did Victorian children use a biro pen like we do today?
They didn't. They would have used what we call a dip pen. So this is a dip pen. It was a wooden pen with a metal nib on the end, and it would be dipped into the ink and then the children would write with it. You'd have to dip it probably every 5 or 6 letters to have smooth writing. So writing took time. There was no scribbling something off quickly. It was a time-consuming effort, and you spent a lot of time practicing your handwriting. Before you were allowed to use a dip pen, you had to use a slate and pencil. So this is a slate and a slate pencil, and these would be used to do your writing on. Once you'd finished, it would all be erased and you would start again. It was cheaper than paper.
So, if I wasn't at school, what would I be doing? Would I be working?
So before schooling became compulsory, lots and lots of children went out to work. So you could be working from the age of 4 or 5. You might have been working in a factory, down a mine, in a large house, on the streets. There were lots of things that children would do. Children were cheap labour and they were tiny, so they could fit behind small spaces in factories, or if you were a boy, sent up a chimney.
Thank you so much. You provided us with just a snippet of information about what kids' lives would be like during Victorian times. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. Bye.